Hello, my name is Mary Ann Tweedy, and I am here today to talk to you about CA Endevor Software Change Manager. We're going to do a demonstration of Endevor's QuickEdit product. The agenda for today will be a QuickEdit overview. We will talk about some of the features and functionalities of QuickEdit, and then we'll show some specific synchronization, conflict, and handling messages that you can only obtain through Endevor's QuickEdit. And then we'll talk a bit about the QuickEdit integration with our PDM or Parallel Development Manager. QuickEdit is a single interface into Endevor. QuickEdit allows you to view Endevor and stay inside of Endevor and do all of your work from one screen. We call it a one-stop shopping spot. So a developer will be inside of QuickEdit doing pretty much all of their work, probably 99% of it. They can be editing source, they can view change histories, they can compile or generate their programs, they can view compile listings, they can view input and output components, you can view, do all of the package changes, creations, promotions, any of the package activities that you need to do can be done from QuickEdit. You can invoke the Parallel Development Manager, and you can very easily and quickly view concurrent development work areas, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get into the product. So it's really an opportunity for the Endevor to stay inside, the developer to stay inside of Endevor all the time and to do all of their work in there and not have to retrieve their elements out to their personal data sets to do their work and then come back into Endevor and add them back in. This is the main screen of QuickEdit. You can see the environment, the system, the subsystem, the element, and the type list there. Any of those can be wildcarded. You can specify exactly what you want to look for. The dialog options you can do at the top. You can, bring up an element list. You can browse things. You can create new elements within Endevor. You can do editing, and we will step through most of these during today's demonstration. You can view all of your changes, sign things in. So it's basically one screen where the developer is going to do all their work. If you look on my slide here, what I've got is my environment is a dev environment, my system is a finance system, and my subsystem is accounts receivable. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to look at my inventory. And I've got list options over on the side, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to build using the map and return the first found. So this is going to start, and it's going to bring up a list of elements for me inside my inventory. So when I hit enter, I come into the actual element selection list. And I can start doing these commands from here. I can do edit, I can do generate, deletes, browse, history, summary, master. And you'll notice with release 12, there's a more symbol here. We've added more information onto the screen. So you can do left-right scrolling, and you can scroll over to the right, and you can see more information, the type, the processor groups, the sign-out information, CCID information. So basically we're adding more and more things to the panels here so you can take a look, and you don't have to, maybe go into the master control record or look somewhere else for this information. Now, if I want to edit an element, basically here I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to edit Fin APP02, and it's currently in the production stage 2, all right? So I'll hit enter, and what it's going to do is it's going to grab it behind the scenes for me, so it's basically doing something like a retrieve for me behind the scenes. I have CCID and comment required, so it's going to stop and ask me to enter those. I put those in. If you're not using CCID and comment, then it'll go ahead and just pull it up for you. And it's going to pull it up into a temporary ISPF data set for editing. So basically this is telling me that Fin APP02 was copied back from inventory location, my production stage 2, specifies the system and subsystems, and I'm not referenced by anybody else. If I was a copybook, for instance, I might be called by 10, 20, 30 other programs, and it would tell me that I was referenced by somebody else. Now, if you notice also up at the top, it's showing me where I'm actually going to save this into. So when I do this save, it's going to save it back into my Dev Stage 1, my Finance System Accounts Receivable subsystem. And that was the name of the inventory I specified on the front main panel of QuickEdit. Okay? Now, next slide. You can actually, make your changes here. You're just using the ISPF editor. I've just basically changed a comment here typed it in. I have a small COBOL program here. And when I hit PF3 to save it, it's going to ask me if I want to compile this program. So now the choice is mine. Do I just want to hit PF3 and leave, or do I want to go ahead and compile? In this case, I'm going to go ahead, submit my job, and run the compile. You don't have to run the compile if you don't want it. You could just save it. So now we're back, next screen, at the element selection list, and we can see that it's copied Fin APP02 back to the Dev Stage 1 stage of my environment, okay? So now it's starting to increase and increment the release and the level numbers. So it copied from 1.01, it now becomes 1.02. So it's going to just start doing all the normal stuff you'd expect inside of Endevor, changing your versions and your levels and saving all the changes as you go along. So now the compile has been submitted, it's running in the background, and when that's done, I can actually type an LL for listing next to my element, and that will take me into the compile listing. So I can check to see if I had any compile errors or if anything else was, incorrect and was going to be flagged for me. Here you can go, you can scroll through this listing just like you would normally look through your listing. I've maxed to the bottom here, and I'm looking at my messages. There's no messages in this case, so I'm good to go. Next screen. And now I can come and I can actually start doing some other things here. If I type an S for summary next to that same element, what it's going to do for me is it's going to bring up the prior levels of this element. So if for some reason I wanted to fall back to a different level, maybe I did a lot of work today, I went home, tomorrow I come back and I think, what was I thinking? I really want to start back where I was yesterday morning. I can now go back and I can start at that specific version and level. Next screen. So if I want to do that, I can just type an E next to the specific level that I want. Next screen. And it'll bring it up for me. This slide with the H command is the history command. So I can actually go into these elements and I can view the history of the software component, basically what's been done to this thing over time. Did somebody add lines? Did somebody delete lines? Has somebody, overtyped a line, made specific changes to certain lines? And we can view the total history of an element right from here. Next slide. Inside this slide, you can see along the side, you can see all of the regular kind of information that pops up for Endevor. I can say, at 1.01, these lines looked like this. I added 3 lines or 4 lines at 1.03. I took some out at 1.02. So there's all kinds of ways you can view this and take a look at it. Next slide. The other thing is I can also generate if I want to. You just type the G. I'll go ahead and ask me, do you want to submit this job? And it will run my generate for me. Next slide. The next thing I can do here is I can list my input components or type LI next to the element name. So when I type LI here, next slide, it brings up the input components that make up this element. In this case, for this element, I have 2 copybooks, one called Header 1 and the other one called Paging. In this screen, it actually shows me the data set name, where those elements are contained, and the step and the DD name that was in the processor. Next slide. If I type an L next to either one of those, I can actually bring up the contents of it. Next slide. So here we're now actually viewing the copybook, the Header 1 copybook. So I can actually come in here and take a look at it and see what it contains. Next slide. Now, the other command I can do from here is LO, list outputs. Next slide. And what this shows is all of the outputs that were created for my processor. In this case, I have an object module, I have a load library, and a listing library here. So again, we see the data set names. I can come in and view any of these things individually by typing an L next to them. I could take a look at the listing again. I could look at the load module if I needed to. Next slide. Now, some of the other commands you can actually do from here are BX, CX, HX, and SX. These are the component list commands. So a BX will bring up, browse the component list for me that is associated with this element. So basically I do a BX, I come into this element, I can take a look at all of the component lists that's associated with this. So I can look at the element information, the footprint information with that, the processor information, and, the footprint information that's associated with that. And it'll take you on through the entire component list to see what you want to see. Next slide. The other thing you can actually do within QuickEdit is all of the Endevor packaging capabilities. So once you've made your changes and you've done your editing, you can actually come in here, you can create your packages, you can cast your packages, set them for approval, freeze them, and you don't ever have to leave QuickEdit. So basically you come back to the main QuickEdit panel here, you type in a P for packages, next screen, and that takes you to all of the basic Endevor package panel options. So this is just what you're normally used to using. You'll come in, do whatever it is you need to do. At this point, I may need to create a package, put my elements into it, then cast it, and then review it, execute it, and depending upon, how far you take it, if you need to ship it, back it out, or whatever, you can do it all from this spot. So next screen. In this case, I'm going to come out here, and I've already got a package created, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to review the package, because I can review it from here. Okay, I come in here, next screen, I can take a look, and I can see who created the package, who cast the package. I can look at the approver groups if I want. I can add notes if I want. I can do all of the package things. Next screen.